Hey you guys, I'm gonna talk about my experience on how I found out my son had autism. Um, some of you guys can relate, some of you guys can't, but I'm just gonna explain my experience and yeah. So, to start off, it all started when I joined this group called BPI. Um, Kyrie was about 8 months and I was in the group with other mothers and stuff like that. And I remember this girl had her son and he was like drinking out of like a straw or a sippy cup with a straw. And I remember asking her, like, how do you get your son to like drink out of that? Because Kyrie never, like, I never attempted it on Kyrie. She was like, oh, I try to do it myself and then he copies me. So I try to do that and he wouldn't, he wouldn't do that. So I thought that was the first thing that I thought was like odd or whatever. So every like doctor's appointment, like that I went to with him, I would always tell his doctor that he wasn't doing things that I thought other kids his age should be doing. But I never really like thought of it as anything because he was around 10 months. And this went on for about till age 2. I never like thought it was a big deal because he was so young. I was like, he needs more time to, you know, grow up and get the hang of things. And that's the same thing his doctors kept telling me, like, give him a chance to grow up and he'll start talking, he'll start coming around. And mind you, he was copying me, like, with my words and stuff. I'll tell him to say stuff and he would say it. So I wasn't thinking of it like anything, wasn't thinking anything really. All of a sudden, I would tell him to say stuff and he would stop. Like, he never would repeat me. There's Cameron. 1 second. So he would repeat after me and then, like I said, it would just stop. And like, I would tell my family and I would tell the doctors and stuff, like, he's not doing what he should be doing. And of course my family would comfort me and say, like, oh, I know someone that didn't talk and they just started talking out of nowhere, or he'll start talking in no time. So I'm just like, okay. So he's age 3 and he was fine, but deep down inside I was like, something isn't right. Like, as a mother, you know when something isn't right. So okay, so by age 3 he wasn't doing what he should be doing, and I still didn't do nothing about it because I was listening to what my like family was saying and the doctors themselves, and I was just giving it time. Also, like, he was starting to learn about his shapes and his numbers, and he was saying them. He was like really good at it. It was surprising. Like, he just started saying A, B, C, D, and he was saying all his numbers up to 20, and he was about 3 years old or 2.5. So I'm like, he's making progress. Like, he's gonna talk. And then age 4, I remember my dad telling me, like, you need to take him to go see a specialist because just to see what's wrong or like what's going on with him. And I remember saying, like, no, he's fine, he'll start talking, or I just ignored it. Or he made him an appointment and I just never like went because I thought he was gonna just start talking. And then, but I still, in the back of my head, I was like, I need to see what's going on. So he was around 4 at this time. He had a doctor's appointment, just a regular checkup, and I remember telling the doctors, I was like, he's still not doing what he should be doing. And mind you, like, on his health records, it shows all the times I've said something about his developmental delay, like all the stuff I complained about. I just kept telling doctors. And then this particular doctor was a girl. And so she was like, you need to get him in school. Maybe he'll start like talking and engaging with other kids, and I'll help him his speech. And I was scared at the time to put him in school because I'm like, if my kid is not talking, I don't want him in school. Like, he's not going to be able to tell me what's going on with him. He's not going to be able to tell me if he gets hurt. He's not going to be able to tell me if the teachers are being mean to him. So I'm like, I'm not putting him in school right now until he starts actually talking. But then she was like, if you don't put him in school, like, he's not going to learn from other kids. And so I finally put him in school, and this was in Head Start. It was Albina Head Start, and he was with other kids. He always wanted to like do things on his own, and he scored like really low in like doing certain things, like playing with Play-Doh and stuff like that. He didn't really know he didn't know how to play with other kids, really. He was very shy, and just, yeah, he didn't know how to ask the teachers for anything. He was just always smiling, but he didn't know how to get it out. So the doctor also, after she told me that for me to put him in school, she also did a referral for a specialist. So I went to go see the specialist in October of 20,000 in October 2019, and they evaluated him for developmental delay, and they said he had a developmental delay. And before I even went to the specialist, my sister brought up that he could have autism, and I was like, my son don't have autism. I thought autism was like something else. I never studied or researched what autism really was. And she was like, he may have autism. So I looked it up, and it was like a lot of stuff that Kyrie was doing at the time. Like, Kyrie loved to play with light switches. That's like one of the things that kids with autism love, like they do. The speech in itself is a effect. And yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna ask the specialist about it. So when they evaluated him, they said he had developmental delay. So I was like, can you guys evaluate him for autism? Because, you know, I seen some of the things on there that I think he might have. And they were like, yeah, we could do that. So from October, I waited until February 2020 for them to evaluate him. And I remember I was sitting at my grandpa's house, and they came over there, 2 women. They evaluated him, watched him closely, did surveys, did different paperworks and stuff like that for hours. And they eventually told me that he had it. He had ASD. And, you know, I feel like the typical parent would cry, you know? I didn't cry. I was very relieved. I was really relieved. Because all this time, in the back of my head, even though I was being told, like, everything's okay, in the back of my head, I was like, something's wrong. Like, people are going to think I'm a bad parent. Did I not do enough as a parent? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with my child? Like, what's going on? I didn't have any answers. I didn't know anything. And plus, I was young. I was like, I don't know anything. This is my first child. Didn't know who to turn to. Nothing. So when they told me he had autism, I actually felt relieved. I'm like, what, Kimmy? Thank you. I was like, you know, okay. And I knew that autism was like a disorder, you know, but I didn't think of it as bad or anything because I know my child's smart. I just was like, okay, now I know what is going on with him, so we can work on it. And that's what I've been doing ever since then. So yeah, I've been relieved. Now Kyrie, I feel like, is better. I am more relieved and happier. that I know. Yeah, everything is better. I feel like I have a weight lifted off my shoulders. The stages that he used to go through, I'm gonna tell you guys his stages. He started playing with light switches, and you know, I didn't think anything of it. I'm thinking he's like a toddler playing with light switches, but he always used to do it wherever he was. The other stage, he used to put stuff in his mouth. Every time he would get in trouble, or I would tell him no, he would put stuff in his mouth. Like anything that he had in his mouth. That's like a sign. He went through a stage where he loved to whine or make a baby whining sound. It would be pretty irritating, but I just let him do it. He would open his mouth really wide and just start whining. I'm so glad he's out of that stage. He would roll up his sleeves and his pant legs all the time wherever he was. The stage that Kyrie is in now, the things he likes to do is he likes to run across the room a lot, and he likes to grunt and just hum. It's either grunting or humming. He likes to do that very loud, and usually I'll tell him like to stop running and stuff like that, but I just let him express himself. And he likes to jump up and down. He likes to watch flashing stuff. It's like different stuff, but he likes stuff like that. He watches Xboxes and Xbox controllers get taken apart. Very smart. I think he's gonna be into like technology and stuff and like building stuff. He really likes Minecraft. And Minecraft's a game where you can like build anything you want. He loves it. He is just a very unique, very smart person. And you know, times get difficult, but I would not trade my son for the world. You know, when I found out, I was relieved, but I did cry sometimes. I do cry sometimes because, you know, it's the speech part that gets me. Like, he'll want something or ask me for something, and I wouldn't. Most of the times, like, I'll know what he wants, but sometimes I don't know what he wants, and he'll like look at me with the sad eyes, and I'll just like don't know what he wants, and I'll have to keep like saying what, and that makes me sad because I won't be able to figure it out until like after 10-15 minutes. And when I find out what he wanted, it's something so simple, it just makes me want to cry because like I'm his mom. I'm supposed to like know, and it's hard for him to express what he wants in the first place. And I feel like that's where a lot of his like frustration comes from, and his whining, because he doesn't know how else to express himself. You guys stop. So yeah, like I want to go further into detail, but as you guys can hear, my house is chaos with the kids. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, or if you guys know somebody that has it, if you guys want to reach out to me, you guys can do so. Like I'm here to tell my story, my son's story, and just build connections with people. And yeah, thank you for watching.